Welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We're joined by Octavia Wide. We got Carter Dudley Jr. here, Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr. We got quite a bit to get through. Depending on where your loyalties lie in the NFL, it was another tough week. For some people, it was a great week. For others, you already looking at college football. You know, there's a couple teams you're over already. Uh, Boy, it gets dark quick. Good thing is, the 14 more games. See what happens. Uh, we told you guys basketball season was quickly approaching. Training camp this past few days for both the Warriors and the Wizards, they've already embarked on their trip to Japan. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well this evening. I've got a little bit of a DC United update, not that much, since it's the midst of an international break, which means an extended time for rapid fire. I can only imagine what's going to fill that gap this week, seeing that NBA Media Day kicked off for pretty much the league yesterday, and there was not a shortage of subject matter for Cardell to select from. So, Octavia, we'll start with you. NFC East. I think everybody played each other, so I'm interested to see what game you start with this evening.
Yeah, I usually try to switch it up. Who's gonna start? But this week I decided to go in order of the games since we had two of them play on Sunday, and then the other two played last night on Monday Night Football. So I'll go ahead and start with the Sunday game. It was the Washington Commanders. I still hate this name. Versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles defeated the Commanders 24-8. Jalen Hurts was 22 of 35, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 9 carries for 20 yards. Miles Sanders, 15 carries for 46 yards. Devontae Smith had 8 receptions, 169 yards, and 1 touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions for 85 yards and 1 touchdown. Dallas Goedert, 3 receptions for 26 yards and 1 touchdown. On the other side, Carson Wentz was 25 of 43, 211 yards, 3 carries for 22 yards. Antonio Gibson had 12 carries for 38 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 1 reception for 2 yards. And then we had Terry McLaurin had 6 receptions for 102 yards. Like I said, the score was 24-8, but it really wasn't that close. It seems a lot closer than it really was. I'm going to try not to do bragging, but it was another it was another great game for the Philadelphia Eagles. The one thing that surprised me and that I was very, I guess you would say, happy with is usually their running game is pretty stout, throughout the seasons, throughout the end of last season, the beginning of this season. But they weren't really able to get their running game started this week. Like I said, Jalen Hurts had 9 carries for 20 yards, Miles Sanders 15 carries for 46 yards. I don't think Boston Scott took a carry at all. So they really weren't able to get it going in the running game. But the passing attack was enough. That's all they needed. One thing that I've talked about with the Washington Commanders is their secondary has been very, very bad this year. And Kendall Fuller had another horrible game. He got demolished by Devontae Smith. It was like, even if he was stride for stride with him, either he didn't get his head turned around in time for the ball, or he just got out jumped. There were literally at least 3 highlight plays from Devontae Smith. Granted, I will be completely honest, the very first one, I'm not 100% sure that was a catch. I don't think he got his other foot down. But nonetheless, they got up to the line quick enough to snap the ball. Ron Rivera threw the chunk flag a little too late. So it counted. But outside of that, it's hard every week, and granted, I always talk about fantasy football as well. It's going to be hard for fantasy football managers if you have any of the position players for Philadelphia, because you never know who's going to go off. Granted, I have a lot of them on my fantasy team, and I had Devontae Smith on the bench. So yes, I was a complete L this week with that. Granted, I still won my game, but that's neither here nor there. Granted, I'm talking about the offense, but then even the defense was just ridiculous. It's nice to see Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham get back in the mix. A lot of people are talking about they're old. Are they going to make it? Brandon Graham coming off an Achilles injury from last year. They got to Carson Wentz 9 times, the 9-sack day for the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Granted, a lot of it was Philadelphia. On the other side, a lot of it was the porous offensive line that the Washington Commanders has, as well as Carson Wentz. A lot of the times, granted, if you got sacked 9 times, it's not all on you, but it's not all on the offensive line as well. There's a lot of shared blame to go around for them. Carson Wentz probably could have slid to the left on a couple of those. He holds the ball a lot, which is all things that I saw all too often when he was a Philadelphia Eagle as well. Um, he just doesn't have an internal clock to know how much time he has. He played with most, I won't say most of them, but no, I won't say most of them. He played with most of them that was on that defensive front. Like I said, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, Josh Sweat. Um, all of them got sacks in this game. Fletcher Cox had 1.5. Brandon Graham had 2.5. TJ Edwards had one. Hassan Reddick had 1.5. Josh Sweat had 1.5. Javon Hargrave had one. So, I mean, it was literally a party at the quarterback all day long. For the Washington Commanders, their offense just can't get going. Granted, they have really good wide receivers in Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, who was kind of a no-show in this game as well, and Curtis Samuels as well, who's been having a great season for them in context. But it just wasn't enough. Their running game could never get started. And honestly, one of the Achilles heel I feel like for the Philadelphia Eagles over the last couple of years has been their secondary. And their secondary has been stout this year. Darius Slay playing the way he's playing, Avonte Maddox stepping up, the new guy, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They're just all clicking on all cylinders. So it's a really great game, a really great game for them. Like I said, on the other side, Washington is probably just waiting for Chase Young to get back to possibly give them a spark or something. He will be out another game. He was on injury reserve, so he's missing at least 4 games this year. So we'll see if he's good enough to go in week 5 coming off of that ACL injury. But yeah, it was a beatdown. The only thing that I would say for the Philadelphia Eagles is in the last 2 games, their offense kind of stalled in the second half. Granted, the score was 24-8. They scored all 24 of their points in the second quarter. So that's one thing to keep an eye on, is just that I would prefer they keep their foot on the gas. But it's nice to see that they talk every week that they can be better every single week. So we know that they're going back to the drawing board, trying to get better. Washington, they haven't been terrible this year. This was just a really, really bad game for them, and it came at a worse time with the whole media circus around. Carson Wentz playing his former team. It's going to be 10 times worse when he comes to Philadelphia in November. So hopefully he holds it together. I mean, they still have Taylor Heineke behind him as well as Sam Howell. So I will be very surprised if we see them, but you never want to count anything out in the NFC East. Next week, the Philadelphia Eagles will play against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who surprisingly are having a great year. It'll be another reunion with a former person from the team, Doug Peterson, the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it doesn't get any easier for the Washington Commanders. They will play against the Dallas Cowboys next week. Granted, it might not be, the hoopla that you're used to, but like I said, every time it's an NFC East game, you never know what can possibly happen. So I expect the Dallas Cowboys to be up for that game, and hopefully the Washington Commanders, for their sake, can be up for it as well. Both games will be at 1:00 next Sunday. So on to the second part of the NFC East, I guess, week. The Dallas Cowboys played against the New York Giants. Dallas Cowboys defeated the Giants 23-16 on Monday Night Football. Cooper Rush was 21 of 31, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 carries for -2 yards. Tony Pollard had 13 carries for 105 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 15 carries, 73 yards, and 1 touchdown, and 1 reception for 2 yards. And CeeDee Lamb had 8 receptions for 87 yards and 1 touchdown. On the other side of that, Daniel Jones was 20 of 37, 196 yards, and 1 interception. Saquon Barkley had 14 carries for 81 yards, 1 touchdown for 4 receptions. 1 touchdown, 4 receptions for 45 yards, and then Sterling Shepard, 5 receptions for 49 yards. First of all, speedy recovery again to Sterling Shepard, who took a non-contact injury towards the very end of the game. It's been reported that he has an ACL injury. He'll be out for the year. He just can't catch a break. He had a lot of potential going on. Like I said, he was the leading receiver in this game. Granted, that's not much saying because it was a very defensive game, you want to say. It was pretty much 3-6 for most of the game, or the field goal kickers got a lot of work in this game. The one thing that I think Dallas has really been able to kind of hold together is with Cooper Rush. I know The speculation of if there's going to be some quarterback controversy when Dak comes back is just ludicrous. But granted, it's Jerry Jones being Jerry Jones, just stirring up the media hoopla. So I'm not that surprised to hear him say those things. We know it's Dak's team when he comes back. He did just get his he got they say he has a long stitches on his thumb. He just got those removed the other day. So now it's going to be able to see. Now they're going to check to see how well he can grip the ball. He's saying that he could possibly be back this week. I think that's a little far fetched, but ultimately they're eyeing week 5 against the Rams. I don't know if your first game back you want to play against Aaron Donald, but hey, it's not me. Good luck with that. Especially with their offensive line. They actually were pretty decent last night with the offensive line. You know, Ezekiel Elliott was able to get into lanes and look kind of like the Ezekiel Elliott of old. I don't think it was that, you know, miraculous of a game, but it's nice to kind of see him kind of get back in the flow of things. Tony Pollard, he's always busting one down the sideline and getting out. So it's nice to see them with a kind of a 1-2 punch. But speaking of the offensive line, Tyler Smith, he had a pretty decent day. He's still having those penalty issues, and it's not just him; it's the entire offensive line and the whole team is having issues, and they're always coming at inopportune times. So again, that's something we talked about the Dallas Cowboys last year. It seems to kind of be reigning true again this year. So hopefully they'll be able to get it together. You know, hopefully not in week 6, but you know, in the other weeks. Just because we played in week 6, so I hope they have a gajillion penalties. But CeeDee Lamb, you know, he dropped a walk-in touchdown, you know, which was kind of weird. I hated the fact that he laughed after it. I didn't think it was that funny. I think his teammates probably thought it was that funny in that moment as well. Especially as tightly matched as the game was at that point. Granted, he did make up for it with a beautiful one-handed catch in the back of the end zone to give them, you know, kind of the leverage they needed to pull away from the New York Giants. Granted, I don't think the New York Giants played horribly. Daniel Jones, for what he has to work with with an offensive line, again, he did decent in my opinion. You know, he ran a lot. You know, he evaded them a lot. We talk about Micah Parsons, you know, and how dominant he is. He didn't even get to him this week, but that's okay because Dexter Lawrence did. So they definitely still got their sacks in. Trayvon Diggs got his first interception of the season. Granted, if it came on the end of the game to seal it for the Dallas Cowboys, Sills fell down in a route, and it was easy. You know, if he had dropped that, I would have just been like, who is this person that's impersonating Trayvon Diggs? But Cooper Rush, you know, played inside himself. He's been doing what he's been doing these last 3 starts that he's had for the Dallas Cowboys. You can tell he's well-versed in the system. He knows the game plan. He doesn't do too much, which is probably something the Washington Commanders wish Carson Wentz would do. Just not do too much. Just stay inside yourself, push the ball down the field as you can. But he even hit the long ball. Like I said, he would have had 2 touchdowns had CeeDee Lamb not dropped the first one. So, I mean, they're holding on. A lot of people, you know, thought the sky was falling when Dak went out, myself included, and I'm sure a lot of other Dallas Cowboy fans probably felt the same. But again, the NFC East has the weakest schedule, if you want to call it the weakest schedule or softest schedule, whatever you want to call it for the league. So it's as long as you can really get through some of the big tough games and then play just inside of yourself for the rest of the games, a lot of them have a great chance to go on and, you know, do well this season. Again, it's the NFC East, so we know how that goes as well. The last thing I would say about the New York Giants is it's just so disheartening to see Kenny Golladay, who again is getting paid $75 million, dropping passes after last week complaining that he was only on the field for 2 snaps. Now you're on the field and you're dropping literal passes right in your hands, right in the breadbasket, right between the numbers. So that's something he has to get together, especially with Sterling Shepard being out for the year. They don't have a lot of big name wide receivers to go to. Kadarius Toney still hasn't really got within himself as well. Rookie Wan'Dale Robinson, I believe, is still injured. And even when he's not injured, if he comes back this year, I'm not sure how severe the injury is, how much time it's going to take for him to kind of work his way in with him being a rookie. So Saquon is really the only bright spot for them. I wish I would have saw a little bit more from Kayvon Thibodeau with his NFL debut last night. Didn't really do too much. But granted, rookies, all of them don't start the same. So I'll be interested to see what happens next week. Like I said, uh, the Dallas Cowboys will play against the Washington Commanders, and the New York Giants will play against the Chicago Bears, who surprisingly is also kind of off to a pretty decent start. Just the NFL in whole is just ridiculous right now. Nobody knows who's up, who's down. Granted, there are only two undefeated teams left. You have the Miami Dolphins and Philadelphia Eagles. So there's that to be happy about for me, I guess. But yeah, I'm just excited. I'm glad the season is kind of getting underway. We got a good Thursday night game coming up with the Dolphins and the Bengals. So I'm glad that at least Thursday nights have been a little bit decent recently. At least the first three games of the season. So just ready for this week to get started.
For sure, another wild week in the NFL to just probably guarantee you another wild week. I'm no longer shocked by anything that happens. All right, Cardell and Ray, as we talked a little bit earlier, I know we did Wizards Outlook yesterday. Um, for the third day of training camp, they left today to embark on their trip to Japan. That said, I know you guys talked a little bit yesterday, but just for these folks that may have not got a chance to hear from you guys, want to start with you, Cardell. Just want to share your thoughts on camp, and then any takeaways from camp, and then your thoughts on what you expect out of the trip to Japan, and then Ray, same for you.
Yeah, for the Wizards, the one thing that you saw right away was how big they are, especially at the forward spot, and how much deeper they are this year than they were last year, which are two positive. Like I keep saying, it's like what Marlo said on the wire. It's one of those good problems for Wes Unseld that he has a lot of forwards to have to navigate and figure out who's going to start, who's going to be in the rotation, different lineups, the whole nine. I mean, you look at the forward spot, you got Rui, you got Denny, you got Kuz, you got my man from Virginia, UVA, Anthony Gill. You got you got Taj Gibson now. It's they're loaded there. Kingsbury at the three is you literally have multiple players that could do different things at your disposal. So that's one of the things I'm looking at when they go to. I mean, when they land in Japan to get ready to play Golden State later this week. I want to see how he plays with the lineups. I want to just have fun with it, see how they mesh together, and they have a lot of shot making too. But we all know we're not worried about the offense. We all know what the main focus is: can they consistently defend throughout the system? Where they consistently buy in? When they did, they won games. When things went to hell, they just said the hell with it, and that's you would be disappointed to see that in the damn Boys and Girls Club team, let alone the NBA team, and that's really what happened, and that cost them the season. And then the crazy part is they were only a few games out of the play-in spot. You know what I mean? All they had to do was just put it together a few more games, and they can continue their postseason run. But it is what it is. Bill got hurt, and trades were happening, and it is what it is. And then you look inside, you still got Gafford. I know Taj gonna get some minutes down there, and you got Porzingis. You know what I mean? So at 7-3, so and also maker. But I expect him to kind of be spend more time in the go getting some season and whatnot if he makes a camp and possibly getting some minutes depending on how well the season's going. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, we all know he on the depth chart. He's a last center right now because he got to learn. He's a rookie. But I'm just interested in seeing how the lineups go and do they come out the gate with a sense of urgency on the defensive end. I know Monty Morris said he felt like it starts with him. It starts with the guards, and him and Will Barton. They used to win. I know they ain't coming, especially Will. I know he's not trying to come home and be embarrassed walking around where he's from. So they're gonna come with a sense of urgency to turn this thing around, put some W's on the board, and shock people. Because let's be honest. The morale with the Wizards nationwide or throughout NBA circles, no one's expecting anything of them. They're not even being talked about. So it's up to them to kind of change their expectation. To me, it's in the middle. It can go one or two ways. It could be a continuation from what we saw last season, or they definitely can shock people and make some noise in the East and be a playoff team. They're right there. It's no gray area. It's going to go one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to kind of just just float and then somehow make the playoffs or whatnot. I just don't see that happening, man. So, it's a big year for a lot of players. We're gonna see how Bill steps it up. He looked good in training camp, no doubt. If you didn't know he got hurt, you would have never known. He missed a lot of the summer recuperating or whatever. Man, he looks like sharp, like ready to go. So, I'm eager to see. Only thing is Denny. That's only if he's rehabbing the groin injury from World Cup, but that's what I'm looking at, and we'll see bright and early first thing Friday morning.
You definitely ain't had to remind me about that. The early morning, the time of that game. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, man. The def definitely stood out to me. They got a lot of length and versatility. Especially on the wings, and that should, lend to some upward swing and for them on the defensive end. That's basically been the rallying cry from us for them for the past couple seasons. At this point I'm pretty much the same place I was at this time last year. They got potential, man, to to do something here, but it's up to them whether to take advantage of it or not. And like we always said, it starts on the defensive end. If they can fully commit and and be in tune on that end, then it'll yield positive results. We're not asking for it to be perfect right away, but they need to start with a solid outing and then just build on that throughout the season. They got out the gates fast last year, and then hit a rough patch, and then things just kind of slid downhill. And then once Bill went down, it was pretty much a wrap for the season. But yeah, man, they should have some renewed energy. They got some new guys in there. Getting a guy like Taj Gibson in the locker room, a solid veteran that's been around some winning teams. That should definitely help. Cardell mentioned the guys that came over from the Nuggets. They've been experiencing some success lately. So yeah, man, they're in a good spot. They should make the playoffs. Just like we said last year, they have on paper they have what's needed to do that. And this team is better than last year's team. They got a full off season of Porzingis, and he's going to be there from the start, just to kind of get things rolling immediately. And and Bill's back, and he's locked in. So all that uncertainty about where he be is gone. So shouldn't be any distractions, man. And so yeah, just looking forward to how they put it together. And yeah, these preseason games should it of course won't tell us everything, but it should tell us some things. Especially given who they're playing. We know the Warriors. They take every second of basketball seriously. So they're going to come out and they're going to treat this preseason like a real game, as they should. The starters are going to get out there and get a sweat, and then the young guys are going to filter in. I just want to see the Wizards compete, especially on the defensive end, because they're going to be tested. So yeah, man, that's just what I'm looking forward to. It was good to be back in the building, good to get things started again.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm looking forward to is communication, because we'll be tested in the preseason games against a team with that level of continuity. Whether it's the Warriors starters or can I call them? I guess they're still young, but like that second unit, that's with a bunch of youngsters, but some of those youngsters played.
And Wiseman,
yeah.
Reading, like playing, they like
yeah,
like he ready to go, dog. And Iguodala say, yo, second unit deeper than it was last year. Oh, damn, dog. So the Wizards got a nice little test, for sure.
Oh no, definitely. Like you said, we're gonna find out for 48 minutes, because those young pups, right now, they know for sure there's 6 people in that rotation. After that, it's open season in Golden State. So there's no reason there shouldn't be any let up for the rest of the roster, because then you got the young guys from this year. I'm sure they would love to try to find a way in the rotation versus just watching all year. But that means you got to knock off some of the kids who were here last year. Should be fun. Again, looking forward to it. Not looking forward to the wake up time to watch those games. However, we'll see you guys for Wizards Outlook in a couple days at that wonderful time. I think one of them 6 a.m. The other ones, the 1 a.m. is not going to be that bad. The 6 a.m. is going to hurt me deeply. But we're going to take our first break. When we get back, I got some DC United for you guys. Then we got 9450 and some rapid fire. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. Like I said, with DC United, just a quick update. Not much has happened. It's another one of those international breaks. There's quite a few of them in soccer, and with the World Cup kind of sort of being this year, this last international break is kind of important. I had the U.S. men's national team play today. It's that whole discourse for that team. Another topic, another day. We'll get into that. Maybe dive into that a little bit next week. Some folks aren't too very happy at all. Also going to see what they end up doing about it. Is the roster that we saw today final or not? Again, another discussion. Say that for next week as far as DC United goes. Told you guys last week they have 2 more games left on their in the regular season. So this weekend they'll return to MLS action. On Saturday they'll be on the road to face CF Montreal. Look forward to discussing that game with you guys next week. And again, take a little look at the U.S. men's national team as we get closer and closer to the World Cup, because the discourse has been wild. NFL fans, if y'all think some of y'all have had it already after 3 weeks, U.S. men's national team discussions are always one of the most toxic places on the internet. And they were at it full-fledged earlier today. As far as the 9-4-50 breakdown goes, we got a breakdown of a 2-foot hop step through finish with different setups. Again, it's a 2-foot hop step through finish with different setups, followed by our second break. You are watching the Focus TV. When we return after the 9-4-50 breakdown and our second break, we'll find out what Cardell has up his sleeve in rapid fire. Again, you're watching the Focus TV.
Today we're going to break down the finish at the rim, working out of the mid-post area. This is a good move for guards, bigs, and wings that they can utilize to get the defender off balance. So, starting out the mid-post here, I have my defender guarding me here. So, I can open up using my left pivot. Make sure you hide the ball as you open up so the defender won't strike and steal the ball from you. And I can hit him with a jab. I can hit him with a shot fake. Any one of those are useful to get the defender off balance. So now, once I hit him with the jab, once I hit him with the shot fake, now I'm going to take one hard pound with my left hand, one hard pound, and I'm popping back, landing on 2. So, here's how it looks. Hop back, land on 2. Now, once I land on 2, the defender now, because I've created space, is going to come at me. So, simple shot fake. Now, using this right foot as my pivot, I'm going to step with the left foot as they're coming towards me, finish at the rim. So here it is right here. So now, other side. Because I use my left foot on that side, I'm going to use my right foot on this side. That's my pivot. So, catch the ball here. Open up. Hard jab. Shot fake again. So, I'm taking a pound with my right hand. Right hand, hop back. Shot fake. Now my left foot is the pivot. I step through with my right foot. So, here it is here. So, again, like I said, you can break this down off of combo moves coming downhill. Same thing on this side. Combo moves coming downhill, turning into post-up. Useful move, useful finish.
I want to thank Jamal Hayward for knocking out this week's 9-4-50 breakdown. That said, Cardell, we got a nice chunk of time left. What you got for us in rapid fire this week?
Yeah, we got to discuss it in sports. It is what it is. We're gonna start in Boston, but not quite where you think. Boston had media day yesterday. The world knows about the Udoka, situation. But yesterday was the first time that the players actually had a chance to speak on it. And Jaylen Brown as well as Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart, pretty much the entire team, their thoughts were pretty much the same. We're set to put our best foot forward on the interim coach, Joe Mazzulla. For the players, that was the case until, the middle of last week as far as just getting back to business, trying to get back to the championship and hopefully walk away with it. But things turn quick, as we all know. As each of them said during media day, they had no idea of anything was coming before. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski broke the news that the team was suspending Udoka last Wednesday for violation of team rules. They even had a meeting with the front office and ownership last week after the news broke, and the players admitted they still didn't have much information on what took place. Obviously, that we all now know that Wojnarowski said that Udoka had an intimate relationship with a female member of the franchise's staff. Now it's being reported multiple female members of the staff that was consensual. Jaylen Brown said there's a lot going on. Who, like Jason Taylor said, he hadn't spoke to Udoka since last week events took place. Brown said some we could control, some we couldn't. The best we can say is to move on. Initial reaction, like you said, I was a little confused. No one really has any of the information, so it's difficult to make a comment on how things were supposed to go or how the process went or anything. The best thing we can do is put our best foot forward. Marcus Smart said literally no one knows anything right now. And Marcus Smart is the team's longest tenured player. Smart said we're still waiting just like everybody else. So as a player, you'd like to know more information, but that's none of our business. It's their lives, the people that are involved. It's between them, and we should respect that privacy, and we understand. Just like we want our privacy respected, although as a player, yeah, you like to know, but like I said, it's not an obligation. Like I said, they handled it the best way they could with how they can do it and from what they know, and we just got to go from there. Octavia, going to start with you. Two-part question. Just first of all, your thoughts on the whole Udoka, whatever you want to call it, news scandal, whatever you want to call it, and how do you think it would affect this team moving forward? That added key veteran additions, Malcolm Brogdon. I know Gallinari went down with injury, but they added him too, and they were eyeing getting back to the finals to try to walk away. Now with this interim coach and this cloud over the franchise as of now, what do you think their prospects are as well?
So I mean, I want to speak on it on both aspects of it. I first of all just think it's just a lot. I remember seeing the report when it first came out before it kind of even went into detail about what the possible reason was for his possible suspension. And I just remember like, what is going on? And then waking up the next morning to the report was just kind of wild. As a woman, I understand. It's just a lot to hear. I know all of us love Nia. I love me some Nia Long, so I already feel I just gotta say that. I just gotta say that portion of it. Especially because like girl, she moved 2 weeks ago and he's known about this for months. Oh, I would be livid. But outside of the, human aspect of it, I guess. I'm kind of like how the players are. Like, I really feel like there's more to the story that we don't know. And granted, if we aren't supposed to know, then I wish none of this came out. I just wish that it was okay. You broke a team rule, whatever the punishment is, because granted, we can feel how we want to feel about the consequences of what he did. There's a lot of people saying a year is too long. Like, it should be a fine. It should be. But I really feel like I can't have an opinion on it either way because I don't really know 100% what happened. So it's kind of like we're going off of like bits and pieces of information. I watched the press conference that they had after it was announced. I still don't really feel like I got any information about what happened. So that's the part that's confusing. It's like you guys are having a press conference about this whole situation, but you're not really giving us any information. So nobody knows what really happened. All we know is that there was some, at one point, consensual, intimate relationship with another staffer. Then I heard that he made unwanted comments at a certain person. So now I'm going back and forth. I'm like, okay, was it consensual? Was it not consensual? What's going on? And I think that plays into a lot of the reasoning of why they're doing what they're doing as far as the suspension and the length of it. It's just confusing because it's like you're suspending him for a year. You're not firing him, you're suspending him for a year, and then you're going to make a decision at a later date to decide if he's going to continue to be the head coach, but you're not telling us how you're evaluating, like what's going to change in however long it's going to take you guys to evaluate. Like, it's just so many gray areas in it. As far as the team aspect of it, I first of all think it's terrible that none of the players know what's going on. I understand that it can be a sensitive situation, and a personal situation for certain people, but at least internally, like if my head coach is going to be gone for a year, I would like to know why, and I would like to prepare myself for the duration of the season. That's just my own personal opinion about it. I think it will definitely be a hardship for them, because just to see how well they played under Udoka in that one season, I was expecting for that to build. I was expecting for them, like you said, to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, get back to the NBA championship, if they could. Granted, the East and the West have both improved. So it's just kind of disheartening to hear that happen. One thing that I did want to say, because I always feel like women sometimes I don't even know how to explain it. Like, they don't feel like that. Like, the whole thing was, this person should be named, whoever this person is. If Udoka's information is out there, why isn't her information out there? If he's being suspended, why isn't she being suspended? If she's not being suspended, why isn't she being suspended? I saw a clip of a heated exchange between Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith on First Take, and how she was saying how, like, no, and I honestly agree that unless they're going to give us information, like give us a certain reason, like, I don't understand why she gets to not be named. That's just me. And like I said, I look at it from all aspects, and I feel like a lot of females or women would be like, no, that's not fair, we can't do that. And I'm like, no. No, like, fair is fair. We want to be equal. If we want to be equal, he was outed. If she did something on it, obviously she did something inappropriate as well. If the clause is that there's no fraternizing between any staffers, and I understand that maybe the situation is that he has a higher level over her or whatever it is, understandable. But she still, unless there was some type of like I said, I don't want to say like rape or anything, but like unwantedness or like sexual harassment or something like that in the situation. But all the reports we've heard is that it's a consensual relationship. So if it's a consensual relationship between two adults, why isn't she getting? I mean, I'm not saying she needs. I don't know what she does, first of all, because nobody knows who she is, and it's leaving everybody to speculate who it is. And granted, that's putting more pressure and more harm for the other females that are already in the Celtics organization, because people are going to continue to speculate. They're going to continue to say, who is this? We've all seen the pictures about who they think the girl is, and then they say it's not her. Then they say it's somebody who's married to somebody that's higher than Udoka, and it's a big scandal and all sorts of stuff. Like, at this point, just put a name on it. Like, it's out there at this point. So I don't agree with the fact that whoever this other person is doesn't have some type of retribution. I'm not saying that they need to be fired or suspended or whatever it is. But to say that they're not being reprimanded at all, it to me is a little off. Like, to me, they both did something wrong, if that's the case. And I think they both should face the consequences, whatever those consequences that they deem are. But I just wanted to also say that I don't think that it should all be on him, because it's not an all. He wasn't in a relationship by himself. and like I said, unless it is something that was like some type of sexual harassment, I understood that aspect of it. But from all the reports that we've done, I haven't gotten that feeling.
Don't forget, the lady was also married, one of them, and also, Malika Andrews and these feminists, they need to go to hell on. The way she came in, Stephen A.
Be a realist. Like, I can't go back and forth with stuff like that. Like,
you gotta be real.
Yeah, if you want to be real, you want to be equal. There's no way, like, nobody can tell me there's no way that this person should not be held responsible or held accountable for whatever their participation was in the situation. Like I said, unless it was something that was some type of sexual misconduct and it was never consensual or anything like that. But if the reports are what the reports are, saying that it was a consensual relationship, she was aware, she knew what she was doing, she's married, or whatever the situation is, she should get the same blame that he should. It shouldn't just be on him.
I told him, and what Malika did was dangerous, especially on that type of platform. And you kind of try to blindside Stephen A. But luckily, him being a veteran, he checked her. You know what I mean? Then she tried to do KP as well. But the thing about these feminists that's on the airwaves, they don't have the same energy when the woman is wrong. When it's clear that the woman is wrong, they don't.
That's what I hate. That's why I had to say something, because like I feel like it should be both ways. The same thing like I said with the domestic violence and stuff like that. Like if you hit him, don't be surprised if he hits you back. Like I know it's politically incorrect and men are not supposed to hit women and everything like that. To me, everybody keep your hands to yourself. Because had you not did that and think that, oh, because I'm a woman, he not going to hit me back. Like what? I don't know where y'all grew up at, because it don't work like that. And I 100% agree. I don't think that that's fair.
Well, you know, last thing, Ray, you next. I just feel like a lot of feminists, as Martin used to say, like to snow with the big dogs, but they don't want to suffer the consequences that we as men have to deal with once we make a move and do something. And that's not real. That's just not real life. Ray, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. Just even starting from the onset of this being publicized, the rollout and the way that information was presented was sloppy, irresponsible, and messy as hell. Like, you know, Shams and Wojnarowski, man, they need to be held accountable for one, because they just opened up a can of worms and just left people to their own devices with half the information. Like, if you're going to be in that position as an insider or respected journalist or what have you, like, you got to handle that better, man, because people latch onto your words and they take what you say as gospel and run with it. And like to break that, it's gossip at this point, man. Like, and that's sadly that's what a lot of journalism has become. But in that, you know, and then you're not even giving the franchise an opportunity to, you know, to present the information in a way that's even able to be digested wholly. Like, you know, they could have just released a statement like Octavia said, violation of team guidelines, so on and so forth. He's suspended, and that'd be the end of it. But you know that people putting that stuff out there in the middle of the night and you're waking up to chaos. I mean, it's it's just you have no chance, man. And yeah, like I really don't have much to say about it, because like Octavia said, man, I don't know, just like the rest of the world outside of the Celtics organization, I don't know the facts. So I mean, hopefully, you know, everyone involved ends up okay. Whatever happens with Udoka, you know, if he violated team rules, then he's got to take that punishment. You know, there's no two ways around that. And for the woman or women involved as well, you know, if they're in the wrong, then you know they got to take it on the chin, man. So so yeah, that's just the thing with that, man. The way it was the way that story broke, man, it was dangerous. It you know, that just can't happen at that level or period. But you know, as far as basketball goes, you know, I feel bad for the team, man. It puts them in a rough spot, you know, like that comes out right before training camp starts. Like you going into it with bad energy, man. And just, you know, just a whole lot of chaos. So you know, hopefully they can, you know, they can rally together, man. You never know. This might galvanize them, you know, because they're coming off a really good season. I'm sure, just like the rest of us, you know, we were looking for them to kind of continue and build on that. You know, first year coach taking his team to the finals, and you know they had a chance. They were there. You know, the Warriors just, you know, they had just been there before. You know, just out executing them at moments, and you know, Boston wasn't able to get over the hump, but you know, it's a lot of promise there, and to have this kind of derail that progress, it's you know, it just kind of sucks, man. So hopefully they can you know, they can use it and as the chip on their shoulder this season. You know, maybe they you know, brings them together and they're able to respond. But yeah, man, they definitely they made some good moves roster wise to kind of address some deficiencies they had. But it just sucks, man. And you know, these guys put in a lot of work, you know, and if it's something basketball wise that holds them back, you know, that's on them. But to have something like this just kind of get in the way, it just sucks, man, because you never know when you're gonna get that opportunity again. Like you could literally never make the finals again, man. Like it's nothing is promised, and they're a talented group. Their cornerstones are still very young, but like Octavia said, man, the league around them is improving as well. And to go to war without your general is tough, man. So hopefully they can get it together, and this doesn't set them back too much.
Wilson.
Super messy from the very beginning. Like Ray said, from how it broke, and the way that it broke, we know that for the most part, when it comes from Woj and Shams, more often than not, if it's not player related, it kind of sort of comes from somebody upstairs somewhere, from from which organization they're talking about. So as messy as this is, I'm not gonna try to get too deep into it, but just allegedly with all the information out there, sounds like somebody that was directly involved in all of this got the information, sent it. Woj and Shams did what they did. Both of them super irresponsible with this. Cause my whole thing is, it's not super basketball related. Like I'd be extra careful how this information comes out. Secondly, Boston Celtics PR, like y'all knew media day was coming. Like this was a failure on so many different levels. Like between when that happened, which I think like the news came out last week or the week before, or something like that. So you knew media day was a coming, bro. There should have been at least 2 to 3 meetings with the players as a whole. What's our mess? One band, one sound. What's our message? This question is going to be asked to all y'all. It's already messy. Let's not, and just feel like they failed in that regard. And like you guys said, from all accounts, everyone keeps saying from the reports it was consensual, which means it's, usually takes 2 people for something to be consensual. We've only had one person's name pop off for the most part. Some people, and I feel so bad. I think it was Allison Feaster.
Assistant coach.
That was so disgusting what people did because of the messy reporting. Like, my whole thing is don't jump out there if you can't name your source. And the wild part is, again, this is just my personal belief. Whoever's spouse passed the info along. So why would you just go out there half cocked off that and then just leave that open? And again, like I tell you mentioned, for Mrs. Feaster and other women that work on staff, it's open range for people to do Google searches and conspiracy, you know what I'm saying, and witch hunts essentially, which is just foul. But again, if you're gonna throw Ime's name out there, you might as well throw the other person or persons involved and call it a day. We all know how the internet works. In a matter of time, everybody's name's gonna be out there. So you either don't say everybody's name at the beginning, or be more responsible. Like I just feel like this could have went so many different ways. And again, the one thing that has been consistent thus far is if everything is in fact was consensual, and the only thing that was obviously out of pocket is both people were in relationships, one of them being married. Again, that's grown folks' business, none of mine. Very messy, out of pocket for sure, but it takes 2.
Thank you.
It just takes 2. I just don't get that part of it. It takes 2. And again, if you weren't gonna, and again, just me personally, how it feels like you jumped out there with one half of the information and never talked to the other side. So why jump out there at all? Because it never came across like, and even the team's statement felt like a response to the insiders' stuff.
It's about being first. It's about being first for these guys. They don't care.
Hey man, that's not something I want to be first in.
Exactly, I'm with you. Like that's why I ain't even post now. It's like the Denzel thing. When he was like, it's not even about being right no more. It's just about being first, no matter what's information. So it's more misinformation being spread out here than real factual information, and that's the problem with media and journalism. Like I thought once upon a time, the way I was taught in college and communication class, if you don't have the right information, you don't speak on it. Like it's bad. Like that gets you fired. Now it's widely accepted. So long as people clicking and it's just bad. Go ahead, finish up.
Nah, that's all I had. I was just super messy and failures on every level, and like if this was like a PR rollout, like it was just an epic fail, like from the beginning. And like you said, the urgency to be right. I'm so sorry. I have no desire to be right in this. It's not basketball related. And for the basketball side, I wish the person taking over, I forget his name, the interim coach, I wish him the best. I'm old enough to remember that the reason Brad Stevens isn't at the helm because they kind of sort of got tired of that voice. So maybe like you said, Ray, they galvanize and come together, or there's the other side of that. But we'll see. Either way, Shams and Woj, man, that was super messy, man. Disgusting work.
And it was messy with Shams tried to go in detail, but he didn't have all the detail. He had no problem just putting it all out there. And I'm like, damn, dog. Like, all right, just have the same energy when it's your turn. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And they never do. And I'm gonna just end it with this, man. It's not even about the details. It's about who he did it with, and the women are connected to some powerful people in that organization. Let's just say that. So that's why they're trying to protect them and all that. Because once that do come out, that's why you see a lot of NBA players keep saying like it's who he did it with. So that tells you the women are related or connected to higher ups in that organization. So they try to figure out a way to protect them, but I'm like, they can't. They're grown women. They made a decision. And one of them was married. Like, look, Udoka foul on a whole nother level, especially in the black community right now. He done jammed all of us brothers up. Like, we getting side eyes from sisters we don't even know. Like, because Nia Long, it's like, look, man, that's him. Leave us be, dog. We ain't got nothing to do with it. So if you see him in the street, he need a little jab or something, dog. Because it's like, damn, man, that's Nia Long, bro. Like, he ain't got no fight in this corner with that, dog. But that's a whole nother debate situation, a whole nother talk. You gotta talk about that off wax, but it's he wasn't married to her. They were getting to that point or whatever. Only one of them people were married, so that's even more foul. You know what I mean? So when it's messy like this, you can't just look at the brother and always blame the brother. We need to bring the mother women bring them to the fire, like bring them out. They need to be seen and known as well, especially when you saw other women in your organization by messy ass Twitter. God, a messy Twitter putting their names out there, they probably waking up and don't even know what's going on because it came out in the middle of the night, and their spouse is like, "What's this about you cheating when you don't?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, bruh. They might have kids going to school and teachers looking at them crazy. Like, bruh, it was just messy, and that's why Twitter is just a bad place. And that's why, like Wilson, like you said, and I'm the same way. I don't even feel comfortable reporting on soap opera. I call it soap opera type drama. Like, I'd rather care about the basketball and let the team come out and deal with that. Then when it's basketball connected to basketball, then we can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But they got to come out with it. So I'm sure this is a story that won't go away no time soon. So everything will be out soon, I'm pretty sure. Moving on. Kim Mulkey, former Baylor players, they speak out against Kim Mulkey's silence on Brittany Griner. Mulkey, Baylor's coach from 2001 to 2021, was asked earlier yesterday to comment on Griner's ongoing detainment in Russia during LSU's media day. Despite having an estranged relationship with the former Baylor star, the Hall of Famer found great success coaching Griner. The Griner-led Lady Bears from 2009 to 2013 tallying a combined 135-15 record, including a 40-0 run to the national title in 2012. Coming into the day, Mulkey had yet to offer any public remarks on Griner's situation for suppressed in Moscow in February. Corey Diaz of the Daily Advertiser asked the 60-year-old for thoughts on the matter. It was met with a swift non-response after Diaz mentioned he hadn't seen any past comments. Mulkey said, "And you won't," said before moving on to answer a different question. Griner's association with her former coach has been in a bad place publicly since the 31-year-old entered the WNBA as the first overall pick 9 years ago after coming out as gay in February 2013. Griner told ESPN Mulkey discouraged Baylor players from being open about their sexuality for recruiting reasons. Queen Egbo, the 2022 first-round pick by the WNBA's Indiana Fever, and free agent guard from WNBA second rounder Chloe Jackson were among those who addressed the situation on Twitter. Both players played for Baylor during the 2018-19 season, and the Lady Bears won Mulkey's third title. Egbo issued a warning to future recruits based on Mulkey's actions, tweeting, "A player that built Baylor 2 national titles and yet her former coach refuses to say anything or simply just show any kind of support. Keep that in mind when you're choosing schools. And I will say it again, silence speaks volumes. Say Chloe Jackson, who starred on the 19th team. Just what your thoughts on Kim being Kim? Ray, we're gonna start with you.
Yeah, like you said, man, Kim being Kim, this is not surprising. Like she's shown who she was for a very long time now. And yeah, like just like what Queen Egbo said, pay attention when you deciding where you want to play basketball, because I'm not gonna go somewhere and and bust my ass for somebody that don't even care about me to help their legacy. Like, what is that? Like, I seriously hope this damages her career, like, because that's like, and then it's just the pure arrogance, like the discard the question like that, like dude, like that part of it right there is is what really bothered me. Like you couldn't even. It's a simple statement, and then they asked the new Baylor coach Nikki McCullen like the next day, and she offered it's that easy, man. Offer some support and move on with your life. Like you don't even gotta it don't gotta be nothing extravagant or anything like that, man. But like that she really just said F you, like in so many words. So man, I just these are the people that are leading now young women, and yeah, that should definitely be taken into account when when parents and student athletes are deciding where they want to go. Like that, you need to be, because that is not an easy life, man. You need support. And just hearing how coaches like people bring up Dawn Staley, the relationship she has with her players is not always centered around basketball. It's trying to support them as people first, because they're going to need that, man. These are young kids. They're away from home for the first time, and then dealing with playing Division I basketball. That's a job. So, and to have to deal with all that, and then still not have any emotional support from the person supposed to be leading you, like that's got to be hell within itself. But yeah, that was just, she was intentionally being trash, and I really hope she suffers the consequences from that, because that was ridiculous, man. Like, it was disrespectful to the reporter, it was disrespectful to BG, like just no empathy at all for somebody that that catapulted you in your career to a place you definitely wouldn't have been. And then from the other players speaking out, that goes to show how, if she didn't care about her, then she didn't care about none of the other ones that she had either. So I mean, you know, she made her bed, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for her moving forward.
Wilson.
Yeah, no shock here, man. She's been like this. Um, I'm glad other people, I guess, finally accepted it or something. Like, she's consistently, that's the one thing I give her. She's consistently kept the same energy from start to now. It's like it's the one thing I give her credit for. But yeah, I mean, if she's been quiet that long, what do we expect the answer was going to be that day? You know what I'm saying? Like, her silence prior to pretty much coming on a record and officially saying nothing. What was the difference? But again, going back to what Ray said, the players that are there now, some of the players that transferred there, I'm looking at all y'all. Seriously, this is what y'all did. Seriously, for her, I'm gonna mind my business. Everybody do what they do. The transfer portal got 2 doors on it, right? It's a portal. You can go in and out just as fast as you came. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna watch it. I think Kim thinks nothing bad happened, and that's great. But bruh, that's nasty work. Even if you don't like the young, even if you've never liked Brittany at all, for the sake of your job, it would have took 2 seconds to be like, I wish her a speedy return home. But you can even let just the nasty energy you have about people that look like Brittany, you couldn't even let that pass. You had to make sure, like, nah, no. Like they gave you an out. There was 17 program PC responses you could have taken, and you would have been fine. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out. And then I saw a couple other reports were saying they've been reaching out to LSU athletic department to get a statement from Coach Mulkey for months. Yeah, man, just not shocked. And again, look, man, these parents, you're not going to be there with your daughters that whole time with some coaches who may feel like this. I don't have kids. I don't know. I know if I did have one, I probably wouldn't feel great about leaving my kid with somebody who feels like that about them. But that's just me. That's all I got. Nasty work.
I'll tell you.
Are we sure her name is Kim and not Karen? I'm sure. Right. So that's why I'm not really that surprised, to be honest. But like you both already said, it's like it's the audacity behind it as well. And it's just like you don't even have any proof, you don't have any empathy in your body at all. Like you said, if you don't like her, that doesn't understandable. I don't like a lot of people I work with, or that I've worked with, or that I've had to, play on the same team with, or whatever you want to call it. But when you're in a professional setting, you're talking to a professional person who's a journalist, and you're talking about a serious situation, and the fact that somebody is detained in another country, and that country is waging war on another country. Like, even the human aspect behind it, it's like that's all you need to say. Is like, I hope everything works out for her, and keep it like that. But and you won't hear anything. It's the attitude behind it. It's the audacity for me that's behind it that it's just ridiculous, and it's distasteful. It's terrible, and like you've all said as well, I damn sure wouldn't want to play for nobody like that. Because if you could treat somebody like that, who, like I said, is detained in another country, while this country is waging war in another country, and you can't even like wish them well. What do I think you're gonna do for me? In a simple aspect of even just saying like, I need help on my homework. Like, you can't even help nobody. Like, you can't even have well wishes for somebody that is in a dire situation. Granted, however you may feel about it in that aspect of it, that's fine. So I'm not surprised. I also agree with Ray. I hope it does tarnish her career. I hope it does. I hope people transfer. I hope don't nobody go there, and I hope they decide to, like, you know what, we're gonna have to let you go because like we're not gonna get any players that are gonna want to come here and play for you. So I hope. I mean, you reap everything you sow, and I think that I hope, and I don't want to say I hope and pray for somebody's downfall, but I hope that she gets what she deserves.
Oh yeah, she's a racist piece of shit. I'll say. I mean, just call it what it is, man. Isn't she the same coach that sent her team to visit the White House when Trump first got in, and this dude fed them McDonald's or something like that, something crazy? And you just saw the look on Brown's face and all. They were just blown. They were there. I'm like, why did y'all go? What did you expect? You know what I mean? Like, they don't value you, man. And Kim. People will be surprised as a college athlete back myself. People will be surprised how when you really get to know certain coaches, especially those of a different color, you realize how much piece of a shit they are. Like, they really don't give a damn except if you can advance their career. But they forget it's more than just being a coach and teaching somebody the game of basketball. You're an extension of a parent. You're dealing with young people. We're at the time when we're trying to figure not just life out, hell, ourselves out. So we need you to be even more point as the adults to teach. And that's what a parent is doing. I'm entrusting you with my child because you believe in their talent. I need you to help reinforce the values that I put in my kid. If you cannot do that, they won't be coming here to play. Period. We'll go somewhere else. So it's just disgusting that she's like this, but it's not foreign. There's a lot of coaches out there. They're just quiet about it. They get a pass about it. They're so big wherever town or state they're in that it's like they're untouchable. Not to bring him up, Bobby Knight. We all know about the crazy stuff he did. He's untouchable because he was in Indiana. They were winning national championships and stuff and producing pro players. And we all know how racist Indiana has been for a lot of years. Couldn't be touched until it finally just came to a head. It's just disgusting, man. But all my look, I have a daughter that's passionate about basketball right now. Who knows? Who knows what may happen in the next few years by the time she get out of high school? Let's say she's a top recruit. I don't think Kim will be coaching by there. She probably be too old. But even if she is, oh, she can't even get a visit, dog. Like don't even reach out. If y'all see LSU or wherever she at, it's getting ripped up. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not even allowed to come. Cause see, I'm not sending my daughter to play for you after this, man. And she don't understand that's what's going to happen slowly. Cause now all these females that played for her that maybe in the WNBA, when the young ladies in high school or grassroots reach out to them, they touch them. Oh, don't even look that way. Don't even look that way. If I'd have known her like I know her now, I wouldn't have played for her. Hey, go to UConn, go to South Carolina, go to Notre Dame, you go somewhere else, but don't go there. And also, look, it's a mother of a certain player that transferred there. I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna go there. Who love to buck and love to speak out. Bucked about domestics, talking about they don't embrace certain players like they supposed to chase them. Cool, got all this mouth and stuff like that. I want to hear what she says after this, or she just gonna be quiet because now her daughter is kind of close to being drafted, or she just gonna play the game to get her daughter drafted. I want people to keep the same energy. See, people who in basketball are corny, man. They love to act a certain way when it's convenient. But when it's really time to put your foot down, they don't really do all that. So I'm interested in seeing what the mother has to say because it's a prize recruit. And if that recruit leaves, Monkey hurt. It's just going to hurt. So, and also, playing for this month couldn't be no worse than where you was at. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. Last question. Yeah, man. Look, man, I need some help in my team. You're going to go to my team. Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett has made several questionable game management decisions in his first 2 games on the job, well, 3. And now the team is trying to rectify the situation. The Broncos have hired Jerry Rothberg with the title of senior assistant, and he was sitting in the booth during games and advised Hackett on his decision making. According to Mike Kliss of 9 News, Rothberg spent the week in Denver, was working Broncos practices. The hire became finalized last Friday. Rosberg was in the booth for Sunday's night win over the 49ers. Hackett is in his first year as a head coach and assembled a fairly inexperienced coaching staff, a.k.a. his friends. And questions have been raised about whether the staff is up to the task of making the optimal decisions during high-pressure environment of games. The 66-year-old Rosberg last coached in Baltimore, spending 11 seasons with the Ravens from 2008 to 2018. I need some answers for this. This. I thought the head coach was supposed to have these, be able to handle these situations, but whatever. I need help. Octavia, help me out, man.
I can't tell you. I've never heard of this happening. What's crazy is like you just came from a kind of well-oiled machine out of Green Bay, and it's just like, did you learn nothing there? I hear your pain. It's to me, I don't think, and like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think this has ever been done where like a head coach is like hiring somebody to kind of like be his. I feel like it's like be his boss or like.
I don't think it was up there.
Like be his coach whisperer or something. It's like, are you the head coach or aren't you? Yeah, it is definitely concerning. The only thing I can say is I give him props for acknowledging that he needs help.
Who said it was his choice?
No, that's true. Didn't think about that part of it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Elway is still someone making decisions, man. He gotta be. This is an Elway move. All right, Ray, help my team out, man.
This is embarrassing, man. Like you hired somebody that's clearly not capable, and then you bring on a babysitter. Like, this is we're in uncharted territory here. So what's the purpose of having Hackett there then? Oh man. So yeah. If this continues this way, he shouldn't last the year. Um, like I don't understand how you have Russell Wilson under center and your offense looks like this.
Bullshit.
It's not Russell Wilson. Like we know that for a fact. He's pretty good at his job. Like but yeah, this is wild. Yeah, I don't know, man. I would expect something like this to come from like All Sack Sports or something. This don't seem like a real story, but here we are. But yeah, this is crazy, man. Like, yeah, dude, if you can't do the job, then you, you need to be removed, like plain and simple. Like he's got to turn this around ASAP, or he just shouldn't be there anymore. Like this is wild. So you got to spend a whole nother salary on on a head coach for the head coach. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Oh man, Wilson, I know you got a lot to say. Help my team out, man.
I can't say much. That old man made the most important decision of the game. So Hackett was gonna go for it. In that instance, he talked that man out of it and said, "Punt the ball." Punter been on one, pin him back there. Then Jimmy did what Jimmy did. Lo and behold, that 2 points was the difference in this one. But yeah, all jokes aside, I mean, this is why like sometimes I don't think when you hire a first time head coach, they should be allowed to just have full control over picking their staff. And I think this is one of the things that should have been corrected when you hired him. Should have been addressed when you hired him. Because it's real wild. And the gentleman they went and got, my man had retired. He was minding his business and enjoying. So somebody got connection somewhere. That dude owed somebody a favor. Because my man was retired, job well done, ready to just put my feet up and rest. And they called him to go put him up in that cold behind booth. And it paid off. But again, if you have to ask your parent about the calls you make, what's up, man? Like people got jokes with Kyle, calling Mike up and stuff, but Mike not up in the box. Like Hackett got his work dad up in the box now. That's real wild. And kudos to Chris Collinsworth, kind of just I've never heard something that wild happen and be like talked over real smooth like just, and of course again it was talked over real, oh man, just normal that this happens. I don't know, man, but I can't say too much. Got a better record than my team. You know what I'm saying? So I can't tell you too much.
We're down. We're down.
Hey man, I hear you, man. Look, I'm ready for 2023, bro.
We're down. All I'm gonna say is this: Russell Wilson is 22nd in the NFL quarterback rating, 83.2. Tannehill has a better Mariota. Jimmy better than Russell Wilson right now. That's all I need to say. That's all I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It's a good thing for Hackett.
And he better be glad Russell Wilson's such a nice guy. See, this one you need to be an asshole because you gotta check the coach, dog. Like coach, after that first game, it'd have been a wrap, dog. And he's been sacked 9 times in 3 games. So 2 touchdowns. Look, all right.
With the weapons y'all got too, that's definitely.
Luckily, our defense is up to par. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, our defense is up to par. Otherwise, we could easily be the Raiders. But we all know because most of the NFL don't really hit or really play players during preseason, these first few weeks of preseason. My worry is when everybody get in the rhythm, what's going to happen to Russell Wilson?
All I know, I was sitting there knowing that man took all them sacks before last week. And I definitely saw the moment in that game where the NFC West light came on and said, man, I'm not about to let these dudes keep coming back here. And he hit the Russell Magic button. I was just like, oh, well, they're getting a touchdown. I know what this looks like. That's part owner of the Niners is Jed York and Russell Wilson. So I'm not shocked, man. He's like a 70% owner, too. Like, he just wake up and beat us.
Look, man, I say this last thing on you. Look, professional sports front offices, stop hiring your friends. It's high qualified people.
I was about
And you listen, it's okay. They don't have to be white when you hire them. They can be black, Asian, Mexican, Latino. They can be alien, as long as they can do the job. Animal, yes. If you find a bear that can coach, I don't care. As long as he or she can do the job, I'm cool with it. Because this ain't working, dog. Y'all got to stop. And then it's even bad. I'm watching a quarterback that should be a Bronco. We shouldn't even have Russell Wilson because Lamar should be our quarterback, and he's just playing with the league. It's you know what, man. Y'all got it, dog. Y'all got it. All right, go ahead.
With that, we will sign off. Want to thank everybody for tuning in as always. When we talk to you guys next week, obviously we'll have some more, a little bit more in depth, or a little more expansive Wizards segment, since we'll have 2 preseason games that I've talked about. Don't forget, if you follow us on social media, follow the Focus TV on your social media mediums, especially so you guys can see where we go live on Wizards Outlook for this 6 a.m. and 1 a.m. game that I'm looking so forward to. Don't forget, you can watch the show Friday nights on DCTV at 10 p.m. Also, if you're outside the city limits, just go to dctv.org and you can stream it live there. And as always, if you got a Roku television or device, it's really that simple. Go in the search box, type in the Focus TV, double click OK, add the channel, and obviously get this show every week and whatever else that we add to the channel this week. Like, for instance, got like 3 Wizards Outlook shows that have been out there that have been added thus far. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week, same time. As always, y'all have a great week.